You are listening to Specifically for Seniors, a podcast designed for a vibrant and diverse senior community. I'm your host, Dr. Larry Barsh. Join me and a lineup of experts as we discuss a wide variety of topics that will empower, inform, entertain, and inspire as we celebrate the richness and wisdom of this incredible stage of life. One of the things I like best about doing this podcast is that it gives me the opportunity to meet and talk with some remarkable people who've done exceptional things, especially after retirement. My guest today on Specifically for Seniors is one of those people who went from 31 years in law enforcement to filmmaking. Let me introduce you all to Chad Richardson. Chad, it's a pleasure to have you on Specifically for Seniors.
Thank you, Larry. And it's an honor to be on your show. I really appreciate it.
Let's start with your career. What branch
Sure.
of law enforcement were you in?
So I come from a long line of police, fire, and military. That's what our family line does. We were raised to believe in public service and to helping other people. And my father was a police officer. My brother snatched up firefighter first. So he got the job that you don't do anything for 25 years. So he scored pretty well. And then I signed on at a Metro Detroit Police Department called City of Warren, which is on the northern border of Detroit. That's where my father was a police officer. And then I served 25 years there. So.
And then after that, special investigator?
Yeah, so I tried retirement like we just talked about. I can't stand retirement. I finished the honey-do list in about 3 months. And as soon as I retired, actually, so going back a moment is when I grew up, I loved to write. I absolutely loved to write. I studied journalism in high school and college. And I wanted to, my plan was to go around the world and write about my journeys when I was young. My father felt that was a very foolish idea and guided me into police work as a more stable line of work. So when I retired in 2013, I immediately started writing in my spare time. So my wife and I, we have 6 kids. So, my wife comes first, my children come first. And then when I can, I get up at 4 a.m. and write for 2 or 3 hours before I start making breakfast for all the kids, getting them off to school. And, but I'm a workaholic. So that I needed more, and I needed, you need a identity besides raising kids and being a good husband. Not that that's not a bad thing. And, so I kept getting recruited to be a special investigator for the Department of Defense. At the time, it was actually the U.S. Office of Personnel Management. And so I contracted in with them and started doing background investigations at a national level and traveled around the country, which I really enjoyed. I loved traveling. I went to some great places, met some amazing people. And so I did that for 6 years. And then on the side of that, I started getting any job I could get in the movie industry or TV industry, so just so I could be on set. And I think you're the same way, Larry, is that I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. I'm not afraid to ask any question at all to anybody. So even I don't care if I get fired or not, because that's the goal is to learn the art of filmmaking. So I would go on sets and I'd pick the brains of everybody. Every single person I could pick their brain, I would. So building my knowledge base. But I'll tell you, I got to tell you a funny story because you'll relate to this. So when I was an investigator, I went out to California and I had to do investigations there for a couple months. And I was lucky enough to meet a Stanford neuroscientist. And what I like to do is if I meet an extraordinary person, I'll say, hey, after this official interview, can I talk with you after and just ask you questions about your life, your career, and because I'm a very curious person. And so I had this interview with this neuroscientist, and he walks in, and he's about 78, 80 years old, lean, has the most piercing, most intelligent blue eyes that I've ever seen in my life. It just radiated intelligence. And so I said, "Hey, sir, can I, once we're done with this interview, is it possible I could buy you lunch? I just would love to pick your brain." And he said, "Son, I don't have time to do that today. How about you just ask me one question?" And I said, "Okay. Well, what do you do to maintain your cognitive fitness into your 70s and 80s and later years?" That's my question. And as a true teacher, he, of course, said, "Well, what do you think?" And I said, "Well, I think nutrition, I think brain games." I gave him a few answers, and he said, "Those are all good answers. But in my opinion, my research, I think the number one thing to maintain your mental cognitive fitness is physical fitness. I've been riding a bike or doing physical exercise for the last 50 years on a near daily basis." And I responded, "That's funny because I also been working out for over 30 years, and my wife calls me a moron on a daily basis." And without missing a beat, he goes, "Well, son, you might be a moron." I go, "Well, thank you, and I'm withdrawing that offer of lunch, sir." So, yeah, so that was my experience there. But what a brilliant person, and just how wonderful to see somebody so sharp and so alive with life, in later years. It inspires you. So, but so I finished. I grew tired of the travel and the investigations. As far as there's a lot of paperwork. I know it's hard to believe in federal government work. I mean, I was a homicide detective, and I did less paperwork in a homicide investigation. So it just became where it just wasn't as much fun anymore, and I was leaning more and more towards the filmmaking aspect. So
I thought you were going to say maintaining cognitive ability, that
yeah,
you had to keep learning new things.
right, yeah, that was one of the things he said later on. And I think the biggest lesson is to go out there and try to seize life every day, because as you know, we get older, we have pain from different things. We have injuries, we have illnesses, but it's just trying to go out and still seize life. And and that's a big part of the movie is about that.
You, the types of writing you were doing, you started off as a novelist.
Right. So I gravitated obviously naturally to police thrillers. So I wrote a police thriller called Jolly Jane, and that followed up the second in the series called The Greeley Chronicles, and then I wrote a family drama called Iris Valley, and they all received great reviews. The problem in the book industry is, for example, Amazon has about 15 million books in their stable at any given time. So for you to break through there, you have to build an author brand, not a book title brand. The key is you have to have people want to read your stuff. And the problem for me is that puts you as the center of attention. And unless I have to, I don't like to be the center of attention ever. I like behind the scenes. So it's more of it turned into a more natural fit for me to screenwrite and direct, because then I don't have to be in front of the camera. So that was just a better fit for me.
So you wrote multiple screenplays.
Yeah. So and this is I started writing screenplays, and I just fell in love with it. I absolutely fell in love with it. And I just write stories from the heart. And over the past 9 years, I've written probably 15 or 20 screenplays. I've been out to Hollywood, pitched to producers, to companies. I had an agent at one time, and it is extremely hard for a number of reasons for a screenwriter to break in. It's not impossible, but it's very, very difficult for um, one, nobody truly knows what's going to work because there's so many pieces of the puzzle. So anybody tells you that they can guarantee a hit is not telling the truth, because there's just too many variables in the process of filmmaking. And nobody wants to take a chance on an unknown. It's just too dangerous. And then you have packaging where, uh, most of the big agencies, they like to package their actors that they have under contract with their screeners, with their directors. So you can't break into that circle. People ask me, they say, why are some of these movies these stars are in so horrible when there's so much material? And the reason why is because they're not allowed access to other material. They're just being given what part of that package structure. And that's a shame. It hurts us viewers in the long run. So
So you decided to take matters into your own hands.
yeah, so I have a friend of mine, Smitty. He was we were SWAT buddies. I was a SWAT cop for years, and when he retired, he went in to the industry as an armorer. So he provides all the weapons on set, and he immediately, such a great guy. He immediately got in and just exploded. And he does Spider-Man, Black Panther. He's doing a movie right now with Ben Affleck called The Accountant 2. And so his knowledge is fantastic of the industry. And he was talking to a director called Rawson Thurber, he did Red Notice with Ryan Reynolds, Gal Gadot, and The Rock. He's the director and writer behind that. And my buddy Smitty was talking to him about me, and Mr. Thurber said, dead serious, okay, show me what he's made. And Smitty said, well, he hasn't made anything. He hasn't been able to sell anything. He said, well, that's absolutely no excuse. In this day and age, you can film a movie with an iPhone. Why doesn't your friend have material to prove that he's a good filmmaker? And I think that was the biggest catalyst, for yeah, I need to get off my butt and I need to go after it, because it's not going to come easy. And so we obviously reached out to friends and family, some investors, and we were able to secure funding for what I felt was a very strong screenplay that was Bad Senator, and that's how Bad Senator was born. Is I really want to tell that story.
So let's talk about Bad Senator.
Sure.
Where did you film it or record it?
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, filming was amazing. We My parents live in a community called Del Webb in Ocala, Florida, and they lived there for over 20 years. When my father passed away about 6 years ago, my mother still lives there. And going down there and visiting them, visiting friends and family in the villages also, I saw some amazing moments of humanity. In the movie, as an example, we have what's called the Widow Group. The Widow Group gets together every Thursday, um, and they commemorate and talk about their lost loved ones, and they probably have a few too many cocktails, and they just have a great time. And it's such a beautiful moment each Thursday. They welcome new members, and I have the actual Widow Group in my movie, which was an honor to me because I've seen such compassion with these people, and I've just seen these moments that are just amazing. And um, and you see people your age, my age, older people embracing life, enjoying it, seizing it, and I was so struck by how courageous this is and how wonderful. And so I wanted to write a story about it. And the story I wrote is about a retired senator who's an absolute narcissist, which they do tend to rise to the top. We know with our politicians, you know, and he's nearing the end stage of his life, and he realizes he has nobody. He has awards. He's sat with the president, but he really has nothing. He lost the love of his life. He lost respect and admiration of his daughter, and his only friend is a retired, bitter, disgruntled Marine veteran, because nobody else likes either one of them in the community, so they stick together by default. And it's kind of that Walter Matthau, Jack Lemmon adversarial relationship, which you and I my kids don't know those guys, but I love those movies, and those are a couple of my favorite actors. So it has that energy between those two, and but the senator, no matter what he tries to do, he's stuck, because it's so hard to break from those old habits. So when he does try to do better, he falls back and falters and makes a poor choice. And we get to watch as the viewer this comical but yet painful yet emotional journey that he goes on. And what happens is a very quirky, super interesting person called Iris Hope moves in between them, and they don't like it. They want to take her out. So in their way, they try to take her out, and she ends up beating them in their own games. And in the process, she goes from an enemy to a dear friend who helps them to overcome the obstacles that they face. And we get to watch that. And what was interesting is I'd say the best thing I've done out of all of this, and I made some really great decisions. The best thing is I picked this amazing cast that read this story and just dived in, Larry, 120%. For example, Rob Moore plays Jocko Stone, and in the original screenplay, Jocko lost his leg in combat, and he's upset because he feels the government dumped him when he was a career vet. And we've seen this how many times. And I want to touch on that story about our veterans that are coming back now with catastrophic injuries because modern medicine is saving them, but you still have all these war wounds, not just physical, but emotional, mental wounds that our soldiers that we're so proud of and should be, that they're dealing with. So I wanted to touch on that subject, and I wanted to deal with it, and I wanted to hopefully help military veterans that they relate to Jocko's story. And I think we did a pretty good job of it. But Rob said to me, he goes, I have a devastating injury and I've never disclosed it or talked about it, but I'm willing to do this for this movie. And he goes, I know the cost of replacing my leg and making it look like I'm amputated. I'm willing to do it. And I'm like, are you sure? Because it's not just me who's going to see this. The world is going to see this injury. And so on the day we shot it, we closed the set. We just had the bare minimum. And when you see it on stage, it's very tender and emotional, and it's so real. We are getting choked up watching it. It was really tough to film, but that's the lengths that I go to. And but our Bob Gallagher plays Senator Richard Van Sutton. He read the script and just loved the story, and he brought things to the table I could not believe. I mean, it's how many actors can pull off comedy and drama. He had us laughing, and I don't want to talk about the scene because I would love for your viewers to watch it. But I mean, he does one scene where we actually lost probably his best take because we were all crying in the background. The cast, I mean, the crew, like we couldn't hold it together. He totally surprised us with his performance, and I didn't see it coming. And I wrote the scene, so I mean, it just we have one stunt, and Vanessa Neff, who plays Iris Hope, and she's this. I mean, she is Iris Hope. She's this beautiful, quirky, wonderful woman that just embraces life and has that odd personality that you just adore. And but she wanted to do the stunt herself. We're like, yeah, I can't afford to lose you, Vanessa, and I appreciate it, but at your age, you should never be doing, you know, that type of stuff. And she's like, I'll do it. And I go, well, we'll work it out. Don't worry about it.
We'll
So
take a look at the trailer in a few minutes and you
yeah,
can
great,
talk over
great.
that or just let us listen to it. But
Yeah,
let me show a couple of pictures and you can tell us who they are.
sure. That's family Richardson. So that's the team. That's our base team right there. And my mother in front, and unfortunately, my father is gone at this point. But yes, that is our team.
So that's the back staff.
Yeah, that's a team, and let's see. Yeah, let me put on my glass. Yeah, but that's our team. Yeah, that's the core.
Okay.
This is some of the wonderful seniors that. So what was amazing was we had to go in front of the HOA in Web to explain what we want to do because there are people that question, is this going to be an invasion of privacy? Nobody, people don't trust filmmakers. Some people don't trust filmmakers. Well, we went in front of the HOA and I explained the story, um, and it was a live recording of the HOA meeting. And because of that, which came out of nowhere for us, is we literally had over 200 residents from the villages in this community step up and say, we want to volunteer. We want to be part of this story. And I mean, it was amazing. We had to turn away volunteers at times because we had so many people that wanted to help us. So that said a lot about our story, and it really made us feel like, wow, we are on a mission here. We're on a mission to inspire people and to help people. And so it felt really great that these people, I mean, we got meals brought to us. Karen is a retired chef. She came forward and said, hey, I'll make you some great meals. And I mean, it was incredible. I wish she was my mother, to be honest with you. It'd be great. That's, oh, that's obviously me. That's my mother on the right. That's Sheila and Dottie, are two amazing women that they did such a great job, and they're part of the widow group that I actually added more scenes because it's they're just naturals. They're not. Dottie has a scene that scored really high in our screening, which was just so funny, and she's taken so much heat from her friends because of me making her do this scene and saying these words, but she absolutely loved it, and she's such a good sport. It was wonderful. So here's a great story. So that's Rob Moore on the left. That's Bob Geller, the senator. And then you have Roger Byers. So again, so many things happen that were so magical. Um, there's a place called the Orange Blossom Opry in Weirsdale, Florida. It's right down the street from the villages. It's the hidden gem of Florida. Professional retired musicians go there to play, and it's some of the best music you will ever hear in your life, Larry. I mean, incredible. My parents have been going there for over 20 years. It's one of the rare times I've ever seen my dad dance. He got up and danced in front of people, which is shocking. So we had all these beautiful memories from this place, and I really, really, really wanted to film there. And no matter how many times I tried, I called, I went in person, I tried to have meetings with Mr. Byers, and I could not get through. And then one day I receive a phone call, and it's Roger, and he says, "Are you Chad Richardson?" I say, "Yes." He goes, can you stop calling me? And I said, no, I can't. I have to, I give me 5 minutes to tell you what I'm trying to do. And then if you tell me no, then I will not bother you anymore. So 5 minutes led to 20 minutes to 30 minutes to an in-person meeting with him and his beautiful wife, Heather, which led to a couple more meetings. And they read the script. And again, the script sold itself. They said they love the script, they love the story, and they opened the place up completely. We could do anything at their Opry, so we went from not being allowed in there to you can do whatever you want. We want to support this project, and so it was amazing for me. And then Bobby Randall. Bobby Randall's this incredible guitarist, singer that started the band Sawyer Brown. That's everybody in the music industry in country knows Bobby Randall. He's such a talent. And unbelievably, Bobby Randall and a professional singer from California, Carly Naff, wrote and recorded the big song in our movie. And I'm not sure how to express what an honor that is for me to have some people of this talent sing this beautiful song. And it is an amazing song. And I just can't believe it's in our movie, to be honest with you. So, I mean, these things kept happening that were incredible.
Okay, one more picture.
Yeah. So that's Bob. And I had this scene with this beer helmet. He gets that as a birthday gift from his grandson. And Bob was such a great sport. He was willing to make a complete fool of himself. So we really took advantage of Bob's good spirit. And that's Paula Leesberg, one of the production assistants, who also saved me because I had an actress cancel at the last minute, and she stepped in boldly and did a scene that was a little bit tough to do, but she's such good sport about it. She did great. So
Okay, let's see what we can do about getting the trailer on screen.
yeah, great.
This is a decision not taken lightly, but with due regard for the health and safety of each individual and member of this wonderful community. You understand the consequences of being late.
I can't believe you just said that to me.
I did iron it, Mother. Can't do that, you cheated!
Unfortunately, your father had a fatal flaw. He couldn't break free from his first love,
Who is the other person?
himself.
Of course, if we must provide your fair establishment with a flair of enrichment. You don't mind?
You remember?
How could I ever forget? Don't answer that. Eliana and I are here to support her boyfriend, Billy.
You! Are you out of your mind?
That's always been your problem. Do it your way, Ellie.
All you had to do was play the song, Dad.
You can't possibly think a man of my stature would go running into a wall of fire. I got 20. Covering a sack by 5.
We gotta stop her.
Yeah, there's Vanessa.
One good
She's a
gust ought
beauty.
to knock her right on off there.
It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good.
That shit crazy.
Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Everybody
Believe this nonsense.
watch out now. Everybody watch out. Watch out.
You remember?
And I could make my famous triangle pasta with sausage, but unfortunately, I'm out of sausage.
Yeah, we lost her on that one.
Wow.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while. I think that brings back memories. I'll give you a behind the scenes one. So Vanessa, you saw her character Iris Hope on top of the roof of the clubhouse, which we of course were not allowed to do. But just to show your commitment, we had to figure out how to make that happen. And so obviously we used some special effects, but to do it, we had to put her. She actually climbed on top of my 37-foot toy hauler RV and stood up there and danced on the top of my RV in a day that was like 20, 25 mile per hour winds. And then I had to hide behind her and lay flat on the top of the RV and hold her legs, like from her knees down. I had to hold her so she didn't fall and flop off the RV. So, I mean, that's the kind of commitment that we got with our actors. I mean, whatever we asked them, they did it. It's incredible.
So let me ask one important question. Where can the film be seen?
Yeah, I wish I had that answer. So we signed a distribution agreement, and unfortunately in this industry, which I'm still frustrated with, and it's just part of the process, is they will not give a release date. So we've licensed the movie with at least 5 different streamer companies like Amazon, Roku, and some other ones, but we don't know when they're going to be released. So, I grow more impatient every day because we want to get this out to the world and we want to share it, but we don't. They've told us within the next 3 months is what we're looking at. So that could be tomorrow, that could be next month. We just don't know. So I hope your patrons will be patient, and I hope they're interested in seeing it. I mean, we really targeted and focused on telling a story that's meaningful to senior citizens. But I will say we have 2 young actors. Kaylee Amante plays Eliana Van Sutton, Richard Van Sutton's daughter, and Hunter Cole plays Billy. And so we have a love story built into the story, and it's really sweet. It's really, really nice. And these actors, again, man, they really brought it. So
Well, when it is released, come back on and
yeah, I'd love to.
at least tell the listeners here and the viewers here how to get in touch and see the film.
Yeah, I'd love to tell. So, and I'll come on back on any time.
Just let
So
me know. Um,
yeah, thank
your
you.
company is Shadow Dreamworks,
Right.
and
Shadow DreamWorks LLC. We're working on right now the screenplay that I would love to develop is a faith-based screenplay called 12 Stones. And it's a story of a cop, a Marine veteran, and a priest. And all 3 are very troubled. And these 3 end up intersecting and colliding with each other. And that leads to a path to salvation. It leads to a road of redemption for all of them. And it's just our team, we really want to focus on telling stories that inspire and that people relate to, everyday people. As a police officer, I was a patrol officer. I was an undercover cop for several years. I bought and sold drugs. My parents weren't very proud of me during that period of my life. But, I was a youth crimes investigator, homicide detective, SWAT. So I've seen a lot of bad stuff. I've seen a lot. And, where I worked, we were a high crime, high activity area. And and I'm an empath. So I really related, and I struggled at times to deal with other people's trauma and to see innocent people, hurt and killed. It's a very difficult thing to see when you care about people. And, I think it's really given me an advantage in other screenwriters because I've lived it, because I've seen it so close. I've seen the worst in people and I've seen the best in people. And and in life, Larry, you and I, we've been around. You're a little older than I am,
probably.
but I'm 58. Yeah. But you know what? That life gives you so much experience. We're, again, starting this journey at my stage of the game. I do think it, again, gives me an advantage because I've dealt with life so much.
What is your website?
It's www.shadowdreamworksllc.com. If they're interested in funding a project, I'm all ears. Of course, that's the biggest battle for any indie filmmaker. So
Yeah, it's a battle for podcasters too.
yeah, it is. It sure is.
You said something that was interesting. You mentioned that filmmaking was a retirement gift to yourself. That's an
Right.
interesting way of putting it. Do you
Yeah.
want to explain that?
Yeah. So again, my dream wasn't to be a police officer. I was very proud of my dad. I'm so respectful and proud of our police officers, especially today. Police officers, what they face today is unbelievable. And we could have a long discussion about what they face today. but that wasn't my first dream. So when I retired and then I started chipping away on the side, it's the first thing I ever did selfishly for me, to be honest with you. Writing is in a sense a selfish pursuit, and it's a therapeutic pursuit, and it brings me great joy. My family brings me great joy, but my wife and I have talked about this. It's separate. It's a separate thing. They're not all one thing, and I highly, highly recommend people that that get older, go for it. The worst thing that can happen is you're in the same place. In this industry, you get millions of no's. You get no, 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 no. And the key is just go, one more day, try one more day. And, and like I said, with Bad Senator, I wrote a story that anybody that read, it resonated with them. It touched them. And that eventually is what sold it and what was created that. But, that was through years of writing and effort and never giving up till the right formula hit. And not that some of my other screenplays I think are fantastic too. And it's just based on years now of reading probably 3,000 screenplays, a dozen screenwriting books, interviews, blogs. I mean, I'm at this point, I know I'm a pretty professional screenwriter. So, but Bad Senator is really very special to me.
Chad, this has been incredible. I really want to thank you for coming on specifically for seniors. And please, please let me know when that film is available and where. And
all right, Larry, thank you so much.
Thanks again.
If you found this podcast interesting, fun, or helpful, tell your friends and family, and click on the follow or subscribe button. We'll let you know when new episodes are available. You've been listening to Specifically for Seniors. We'll talk more next time. Stay connected.